Hey, welcome in, folks. It's v-LHda-LxYC. We are here in the long dark. We are, I think, waiting for the storm to die down a little bit here. Well, I think we have stuff to lay down here. Yeah. No, this is all cured. It's not cured.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Oh, there's meat to cook. So, welcome in, folks. I'm v-LHda-LxYC. I'm a Canadian streamer based in Vancouver, British Columbia. I play The Long Dark, which is this winter survival game set in the Canadian North. And I'm awfully fond of it. I've been playing it for quite some time. Not quite at 4,000 hours, but we're getting close. Okay. Anyways, I like doing interesting challenges. I'm currently doing an interloper custom run. And it looks something like this. And this is a little bit about me. Outside of streaming, I am a writer. I'm the author of 2 books of poetry. I'm also a former computer games programmer, and I work as a creative writing coach and manuscript editor. It says full-time there, but it's more part-time right now because I'm also working with the University of British Columbia, where I work as a digital project specialist, which is basically like having a developer for hire within the humanities. Okay, so our big question is, what are we going to do here? Hour at 30 minutes, too long. Could be pancakes. So yeah, it's a bit about me. I think we're going to make more pancakes. If I knew it was going to be this stormy out, we would have probably done something different. Let's see how we are on cooking. Cooking's a long way off. Fire starting's a long way off. And everything's a long way off. think we're going to be stuck in here. Just check a few spots that we didn't check with light. Can check now. Okay, so we'll probably stay here. Oh, come on, guys. Look at this. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we can repair. Okay.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Okay. Guess we're moving on. Yeah, it's sad we have nothing to distract them with. There's no other prey to kite them over to. Wow, he's really determined.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Go away, go away, go away. Another hammer. What are we going to do with so many hammers?
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear. Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Yeah, we'll skip it. Come on. Where are we going?
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Hey Roller, good to see you. We are on our way up to check out Signal Hill. How was your day? Mine was, I don't know. It was. I spent some time working on one project, which is basically just getting something set up on a virtual server for a professor who needs it for not right away, like in about a month or two. But there's no longer anyone at our university that takes on these tasks of doing the installation of third-party, platforms, content platforms for testing purposes or teaching purposes. There should be, but there's just stretched too thin, and so my own department hired me to put some hours in to get it up and running. So I am partly there. I put in a few hours yesterday, and then I put in an hour today. So I have it installed to the right folder. I think I've set the permissions up properly, but for some reason it's not properly downloading. Well, as part of the installation requires it to update the contents of a number of folders, which I changed the permissions so it should be able to write to those folders, but it's still not performing as expected. So I may have to put in a help desk call to see if I can get a little bit of insight as to what I need to do in order to get that working properly. So almost everything is where it's supposed to be. It's just giving me a few errors. So I think probably if I make it the focus for tomorrow, I should be able to have that resolved by the end of the day. But I also need to carve out some time to go and do another pass over my cover letter before I send it in. So I think I'm going to do that tomorrow morning instead. And then I have another project, which is an AI project. My professor for that project, the faculty person working with on that, sent me some sample materials to use as part of the knowledge base for the RAG system. But looking over it, it's insufficient. We need more details. So either I have to fabricate them, or graduate student needs to go into more detail. So, anyways, I will send back my question tomorrow morning as well and let them work on that. Yeah. But I also got kind of notified by my boss that my last filled out timesheet got flagged again because apparently I worked too many hours in the pay period. So not in the week. I didn't exceed my hours for the week, but I worked too many hours for the pay period because of how the week stacked up on that particular pay period. Ended up with more than the usual amount of hours. So yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's one of the many reasons why I'm looking forward to jumping into a different type of role. One where I'm not doing these type of like capped hours, and instead it's a full-time gig.
This'll come in handy.
And we're not, constantly fighting over whether I'm capped at 15 hours a week, which is kind of silly. And I would have been fine, honestly, except for one of those weeks I had one of the projects I'm on, the people on the project were getting ready to go to a conference or do presentations, and they wanted finalized data sets. And so we had to go back and forth a few times before we got all the bugs worked out in terms of the formatting of what they wanted. So it did take a little extra time. I actually didn't bill all my hours either. I could have billed more hours. It's just that I knew that it would go over. So I worked extra hours off the books just to help them out. But apparently I still billed too many hours. So I was like, oh well. I don't know what to say. The only thing I can say is like it's not going to happen again because that project's basically done for me. So I think the only thing I need to do is finish my code cleanup and update the final version of the code. And I may not even build them for that. I may just do that on my own time. Okay, we're going to need more torches here.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
So the question is, where are we headed next? We need to forge. So are we going to go Coastal Highway, Desolation Point?
Come on, little fire. Come on.
Or are we going to go to Mystery Lake, Forlorn Muskeg? I mean, anyway we go, there's also a lot of intermediate stops you have to make, so it's... I think going... I kind of like Coastal Highway anyways, and now it's all wolves. Might actually be a little bit easier. Because we can go grab cattails without ever worrying about bears.
Can you eat trees? Because I'm gonna eat a tree.
Okay. One of the many ways down here. Okay, here we go. Oh. So I went to a book launch last night for two of my friends had books come out, and so it was kind of fun to hear them read. One of the books I already, so one of the poets I already had purchased the book, so I didn't need to buy a new copy of the book. And the other one, I picked up at the event because I need more books, apparently. But yeah, it was a great reading, great discussion afterwards, and happened to run into a couple writers I'd kind of chatted with before, but got to know a little bit better, and then also had a nice conversation with one of poets I hadn't seen for a few years. I mean, the last time we'd seen each other was online during the pandemic for an event. And then prior to that was quite some time ago when last time I was living in the area. So yeah. But she was telling me you know, she was asking me about what I was working on, so I told her a little bit about the opera, and she was pretty excited about that. And so, yeah, she mentioned City Opera, Vancouver City Opera, which is different from the Vancouver Opera. So there's Vancouver Metro Opera, Vancouver Opera. I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, the Opera Society. There's the big opera, right? They have a opera house proper, and then there's the Vancouver City Opera, which does chamber opera, which is small scale. So does not require, like, usually small cast, small orchestra, and like not like big production at all. Usually small set, no set, that type of thing. And so, you know, she was telling me about that, which sounds pretty cool, and I think for the right project would be a good fit. But I don't think our Star Singer is going to work because it's just we just rely on lights and set and movement too much. It's just a big production. So there might be a version that could be adapted, but in its present form, I think we're looking at a larger production. And I think part of it is just like to represent the stars, we need all this lighting or some solution that kind of represents all these thousands of stars. So that's really hard to do in a smaller room. I mean, I guess it's in theory possible to use projection, but it's not quite the same. Surprise, no wolves. We are all made of stars, yeah. That's actually an interesting Easter egg in the opera. Is the main character who plays the daughter, his name Mina, and Mina in Japanese means everybody.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
So it is everybody. Okay, let's see what we got here. Dog food. No. No, there's no nobody. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, anyways, conversation or the email from my boss kind of made me think, well, apparently I need to scale back my hours. Again, and partly, like I said, it was just because there was this mad rush before this conference to get as much possible straightened out with the data set. So that project is basically done at this point. So I think I'm not going to be billing hours to that. One of the projects I'm working on is from a different contract, so it doesn't affect it. So, and then I can't see myself maxing out on working on the AI project either. So I think my hours are going to go back down significantly. The new problem will be that I need to have enough work to pay my bills. So I will probably, in the short term, I think this week we start advertising again to pick up some more clients for writing coaching work. See what I can get. And I did have a meeting with one of my writing coaching clients. It was, or actually a manuscript consultation. But it's more like a follow-up meeting since he had, I'd sent him back the feedback on the manuscript already, and he had a few questions, clarifications he wanted. So it was like a not for charge, extra meeting. And because I like talking to people about writing, I don't mind. We don't need this. We're good.
And this pack is getting kind of heavy.
This is too gusty. I think maybe we should wait an hour and then go. Well, I mean, I could do extra streams, but it's kind of like the question really with streaming is like, at what point is it, how can I put this? I enjoy streaming, but the income from streaming is so small, especially these days. I have so few subs. And it's my own fault. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? If I were on more often, people would watch me more often, and that might lead to more subs. But there's a limited window of time that I'm on, so that means I have fewer people watching and obviously fewer subs. It hasn't quite gone down to 0, but it's pretty low. And so, it's like, and then there's always a lag between when people sub and when you actually get paid. So for me, that usually translates to about 2 or 3 months before they like cut a check and say, oh, you hit the threshold, here's your money for that. So I don't see streaming as like as a dependable income stream at this point. If nothing else were available to me, maybe I'd go more in on it. But I find like if I can get enough writing coaching work or manuscript consulting work, then that money, even if I have fewer clients, per client pays off so much better. So that's kind of how I look at it. Okay. Are we staying here? Where are we going? I might stay here. Let's see if we have anything we want to. Yeah. Okay, what do we need here? Oh, you know what? We should have grabbed the flour from before. Could have had more pancakes. So we can cook this, but these do not require cooking. I think we do need water. I mean, the other solution, of course, is to like create some things that I can sell digitally online. So whether that's like D&D related or RPG related, you know,
Come on, little fire.
tools or tables or supplements of some sort, or you know, writing another computer game that I sell on itch.io, you know, something like that. Like on the computer game side, there's always all this extra hidden time spent doing development and testing, so it's not always, you know, best use of time, but I mean, it's fun. Okay, let's go with the pancakes. Okay, so we can drop this one. Okay, we're out of pancakes. What else do we want? Lots of teas. We should make some of that coffee, I think. Okay, what do we got here? Get rid of canned goods.
I need to find a place to rest.
I've been also thinking about, like, if I clear my Fridays off. Oh yeah, and I still haven't decided if I'm going to start running some online games for money. But that would be another option, things to do. But most of all, I just really want to get this job. That would be the best solution, and start November with a decent paying job. Okay.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Let's quickly check these guys out, see if there's anything in here. We want a backup rock. There are wolves ready to hunt us out here. Wow, lots of wolves. This is looking bad. I think we'll end up having to use a flare to get through this. No hacksaw, so we can't harvest that, but that would be really useful right there. Do I ever play games off stream? Yes, I do. I do all the time.
Gotta warm up some.
I have. It's kind of brainless, but I play Luck Be a Landlord. And I was playing Tiny Bookshop for a while. And what else have I been playing lately? Oh, and Balatro. I was playing Balatro for a while. A lot of Balatro for a while. kind of burned myself out at Bellatro. Trying to think of what I want to play. Like, I've been kind of skittish about starting anything long or complicated. Right, I still haven't bought, you know, Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, bizarre. And obviously I'm playing in one D&D game and running a different one. So that takes up a little bit of time. Oh, what? You've never played Inscription? Oh, Inscription's such a great game. It is such an incredibly good game. I mean, you think it's one thing and it just keeps evolving. It's honestly, a friend of mine introduced it to me, and I'm so glad she did. I mean, she's another library school student who was a big gamer, and so she had recommended it to me. And boy, was it satisfying. Such a great game. Yeah, so it's,
This pack is getting
I think so. I think that's his name. Couple books here, couple books there. Oh. Might as well take the matches. Don't mind if we do. Not going to take all the books. We're not quite that bad. This church doesn't let us start fires inside. I do want to work on my fantasy bookseller game, which right now I think is a card game, but it could turn into a computer game. I don't think it's going to be a like a simplified. I don't think I can make a tabletop role-playing game out of it. At least not a super crunchy one. But I do think it would be fun as a card game. Or as a computer, like a computerized version of it, a digital card game.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Yeah, I was thinking I could even prototype it in Twine if I wanted to. But... Hey, Falhaz. Welcome in. It's me throwing torches around.
Damn, I'm freezing.
Hopping into cars. So, yeah, welcome in, Falhaz. Are you a Long Dark player as well? Or do you just like watching us struggle to survive? Or you just happen upon this day one player? Okay. Well, we've got some really great people in chat right now. Prof. Niels and I both have a lot of hours in the game, and if you have any questions about strategy or suggestions, advice that we might give to someone new, happy to provide it. You know, unless you want to muddle through on your own, which is also a perfectly valid approach to playing the game. But day one, huh? Where have you started out? And have you made it past your first 24 hours yet?
Not carry much more.
Or are you doing the, are you playing story mode Wintermute? If you're brand new to the game, playing the story mode, at least for a chapter or two, is a good way to get a sense of how the different game mechanics work and to learn some basic strategy while having the security of having saves. Once you go into the sandbox survival mode, well, there's now like there's now a cheat death mode, but that still is kind of brutal. But you don't have to use it. Do you need the expansion DLC? I don't think you need it right away. I think it definitely adds a lot to the game, but if you're just starting out, maybe it's sufficient just to learn the basics in the main game and then like decide, you know, if you want to spend the extra money. But I think it's worth it. I think it adds a lot in terms of, you know, I think it expands your cooking options. It gives us just like, there's more to it. I think it's worth it. But yeah, I think it's not an immediate need. I just think that in the long run, you'll probably find yourself wanting the expansion. Yeah.
I think I can use this.
Rawr! Look at that festive sweater. We'll do that. Let's go bright and beautiful here. Let's go here. And let's drop this one for now. But yeah, make sure you like the game before you sink more money into it. But we're all kind of biased because, I mean, yeah, we got a lot of hours in this game. I have more hours in this game than any other game I've ever played. And that includes Skyrim and Fallout 4, both of which I played a lot of. Or I used to think that I played a lot of them, and then I realized how much time I actually spent playing The Long Dark. Oh yeah, we have an extra one of these now, so... around there. So you'll see those of us who are playing Interloper will do a lot of this type of thing, which is like we'll throw a torch down that's just about out, and then we'll light the new torch off of it. It's a way to kind of conserve matches, because in Interloper you don't find, actually you still find a fair bit of matches, but it can feel like it at the very beginning that you don't have a lot of matches, and so because you don't start with matches.
Barely walk with this much gear.
And so like getting fires going is really hard. You waste a lot of matches getting started because your fire starting skill is so low. Yeah. I won't spoil it, but another streamer I enjoyed, a person that shows up in the later part of the game. Oh, regarding Inscription. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, that game has layers. It has layers, and it's quite good. Okay, what are we gonna do here? Midday still. I think we need more torches, so I think that means we're gonna have to start some fires. And 4 more torches. So you can craft torches out of sticks and cloth and gasoline if you have fuel, oil. Not cooking oil, but the other type of fuel. But you can also get torches this way, which is just by building a fire and then pulling them out of the fire. Take a torch. And, you know, to some degree it's kind of random, the quality of your torch, but you can pull high quality torches like this. And I have certain theories about how to do that. One for me is if I'm standing facing the wood burning stove, this stove in particular, and I aim my cursor for like this bar, like about a third of the way down, like that. I usually get a good quality torch. Why? I think it's because of where the game imagines the hottest spot in the fire to be. So let's see. The fox one is, I don't remember which one's Pilgrim and which one is Voyager. Is Owl Pilgrim? Fox is Voyager. I would choose the easiest one is the Fox one. Okay, so what a critical part of the game is learning the maps, learning where everything is located. Because unlike most games, you don't have an overhead map that you can just call up whenever you get lost. There's no auto mapping, there's none of that. If you want a map, you have to find some charcoal and then you have to stand outside in the cold and draw a portion of the map. A tiny portion of the map gets drawn every time you do that. And gradually you can fill out these maps. So like, in terms of my map, look at this. Look at me not actually draw anything. So, because I never get around to doing it. But learning the maps is kind of an important strategy, because as you learn the regions better, you can move confidently regardless of the weather conditions. So I would say start with the lowest difficulty or second lowest difficulty, because the animals will largely stay away, and you can focus on just gathering resources and learning paths through the area and exploring and just enjoying sort of the game visually. But at some point you will also want to start trying your hand at hunting. And hunting in Pilgrim is actually pretty difficult because everything scares so easily. So there's none. Each of the difficulty settings has their own interesting traits and challenges. So, like Pilgrim, the real challenge in Pilgrim turns out to be managing your inventory. This is a real problem for Pilgrim, to some degree Voyager, even Stalker has a little bit of this problem. Because resources are actually pretty plentiful, but you can't take everything with you. You just can't carry it all. So then you have to make choices about what you're going to take and where you're going to leave, and are you going to stockpile things in certain locations, or are you going to, do you get caught up in like just arranging
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much
everything in your base, setting up bases and trying to like stockpile things, so put all your canned goods over here, like things like that. So inventory becomes its trap if you have too much. Yeah. When you get into Stalker, you start running into the new problem, which is that there are a lot of wolves. It's the most plentiful wolf, like for wolves, it's the most plentiful level. It's like Some things are a little bit more challenging. The weather gets significantly worse, and there are animals are mostly aggressive towards you, so you will be hunted. Oh yeah, and in stalker and lower levels, a good philosophy, a good strategy is like whenever you find food, eat it, because you can always carry it for free in your belly. Okay, you can also chase away, drop a torch in front of you, keep it between you and the wolf, and aim a weapon, even a stone, and you can scare away the animals and scare away the wolf. That does not work with the bear. Although, if you're very lucky with your shot, you can throw a stone on the nose of the bear, and you can, or a torch. Torch is better. Throw a torch onto the nose of the bear, and it will run away, which I have used a few times. This is if you don't have like any weapons available to you. Okay. Let's see. Do we need the salt? We don't really need the salt. Okay. I'm going to take a short bio break here, and I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, back again. Let's see, what were we going to do? Well, this is not normal. Look at it sinking into the... You'll find the game occasionally does this, where stuff will sink down a level lower than it should. I've seen this also with bookcases sliding into the floor. It's like, it now looks like a shoe rack. It's not even a bookcase anymore. Let's see here. Yeah.
Come on, little fire.
But yeah, feel free to ask questions about the game, anything that you're wondering about.
Barely walk with this much gear.
And I'll try to offer a few, like as we go along, we'll kind of introduce a few different things. So I'm playing on an interloper level, and so interloper's the hardest level. Well, there's misery is technically the hardest level in the game, but it's more like a challenge than it is like it's not intended to be level. There are people that do turn it into long-term play. It's just, yeah, after 50 days, it's absolutely miserable because that's the point. It's actually miserable the whole way through. So I've done one playthrough for misery, and I made it, I think, like 41 days, which is not bad for a first try on misery, especially given the fact that I never found a bedroll during the 41 days, and I was unable to craft a bow before my unseemly death on day 41. So interloper is plenty hard. So I do things to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm doing too many goals where basically I'm doing a custom interloper run where I turn off all the other animals. There are no rabbits, there are no ptarmigan, there's no deer, there's no bears, there's no cougar. There's only wolves and timber wolves, and they're set at max. Hey, welcome in, Nemesis Dark. Thank you for the raid. It's been a while. How's it going? Hey, I got a bit of good news for you, Nemesis. If I remember correctly, you're a fan of my letters.
Good news is I should be able to take this beating.
Oh yeah, let's pick that up again. Yeah, pause now for paws and claws. There we go. So I was just saying, Nemesis, that if I remember correctly, you're a fan of the Letters to the Unknown Wife poem series, and 2 of them just got picked up for publication. So in the near future, once they go live on the online journal, then they'll be published, and then I can read them as part of the stream without like preempting the publication. So yeah, so just when I thought I was done sending those things out, and I was like, I don't know if anyone wants to read these anymore. It's like, this is a serious time of lots of like political and social unrest. Maybe they don't want to read this type of stuff, but apparently people do, so I'm happy about that. So that may lead me to do some more work on that. We'll see. I did look at some other ones that are waiting to get published in various stages of completion, and one of them I started editing, and by the time I was done editing it, it was like, I don't even think there's really a great poem in here at all anymore. So I'm like, I might have to go back to the drawing board on that one. And the other one I think is fine. And then I don't think I have any other completed ones in that series, so I'll have to go back and see if I write some new ones. Yeah, I do think sometimes you need a little bit of an escape, a little bit of like a way out. Okay, so let's get some more water going here. Yeah. But the other poem that I've been thinking about that I thought was not finished, and recently I had the opportunity to share it with a group of people, and they quite liked it, and I was like thinking, maybe it's more done than I thought it was. And so I have a poem about Sherlock Holmes that was written. I started it before. I started it while I was still working on my second book of poetry, and technically it should have been in the second book. It's just that I didn't finish it in time. And I also felt it was kind of drifting further away from, at the time I thought it was going to drift away from where the other poems in the book were going. So I didn't include it. But I have had time to go back to it and revise it, and I do think that it's publishable. I think I can find a place to publish it. I mean, who doesn't love a Sherlock Holmes poem, right? So, but it's about Sherlock Holmes, but it's also about levitation, and it's also about what else can I say? It's about there's a little bit of Zen Buddhism to it. There is also a lot of sort of like how Sherlock Holmes, well, basically it goes back to this puzzle of like, is Holmes really as inhuman as he presents himself to be? You know. And so there's a part of him that does like really become machine-like or portrays himself as machine-like, and other parts of him that are more complicated. So we get a little bit of that. So. 37. Oh, did we ever fix our cabin fever wrist? No, we didn't. Probably should do that soon.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay. Oh, we should have cooked the peaches. Oh. We don't need all this water. We're still carrying too much water. Hey, where are we going? I think we have to raid the store, and then we have to go. I think Coastal Highway is our plan. Yeah, who's coming for us? So you'll notice that a lot of players always check the visors, because sometimes there's like messages scrawled in there, but honestly, there's like, if you're looking for actual resources, there's nothing there. But they do, like the notes will point you towards like caches that might have resources you need. So, but on Interloper, it's I don't know, not always worth it. Oh, that's good. We want oats. Oats are lightweight and can turn into several meals. No, that's actually, that's a big part of what the poem is about, yeah, is that actually what he does there, exactly what you described, him distancing himself. There's a part of the poem, a big part of the poem is basically um, inspired by a passage in one of the stories in which Holmes describes the city of London. And the way that he describes it, it sounds as if he's flying out the window and then rising above the entire city and looking down on it as like this complex mechanism. And it's absolutely, like, it's a beautifully written bit of prose description. It's also a really fascinating way of thinking about poems in sort of this, a way that he can like imagine the entire city as a simulation, um, and then just be able to like move the camera out like that.
I'll take it.
Oh, even more matches. See, Interloper starts off hard, but when you start finding matches all over the place, then I mean, like the joke here with Interloper is I had an Interloper run one time where by day 7 I had over 100 matches. It was like, this is Interloper. Let's see. Let's see. No, we are denying you. There we go. Hey, a bot message got flagged. That's amazing. It got flagged for mentioning, like, followers. Adding followers. Pay for followers. We're not doing that. Okay, what else we got here? Keep on moving, keep on moving. Yeah.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Oh, so yeah, so the Holmes poem. I need to find a home for the Holmes poem. That's what it boils down to. And part of the challenge is figuring out what are the other poems that go in that submission packet. In other words, when I send out poems to a literary journal, I'm sending out 3 to 5 poems in a submission packet, and they're going to choose, if they like anything, they'll choose 1 or 2. Sometimes they'll choose 3. It's rare that they'll choose like everything in a packet. And a lot of times they just say no. They say like, it was nice, but not what we're looking for. Go away. Yeah, I feel like the 2 things I'm getting swamped with these days on Twitch, I'm getting swamped with the follower, like all these bots wanting to add followers, or fee, obviously. Oh, special service. And this house is up. It's like a lot of times I don't get this. But the other one I get all the time, as a writer and as a published author, is the last few weeks. It's just been relentless. The number of emails I have received from people purporting to represent a coalition of over 1,000 or sometimes 2,500 reviewers who would be happy to write reviews of my apparently neglected book that really deserves more attention. This idea of having an army of 2,000 or 1,000 reviewers, if you know anything about the review process, that's ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous and definitely sounds like a scam. And most likely what they are is they're all bots, and Or worse yet, there are people who were conned into thinking that they're doing something good by writing, Amazon reviews for money. But those things get busted, and then, it devalues your own work because because they're trying to get you to pay for the service of writing reviews. If anyone falls for the follower scalpers, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so the other thing with the the reviewers thing, it just like they're so, I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like the writing has gotten a lot better in sort of the scam emails they send out, and I think it's because they're using ChatGPT. So they're taking advantage of technology. And the irony, of course, is that Babbage's Dream, my most recent book, is partly about AI. So it's like you're using AI to try to convince me that you can sell, you can promote my book for me with an army of reviewers who are probably going to turn out to be also AI. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I mean, it's really ridiculous. Keep forgetting we had the. Oops. Okay, we got the boots. We got the boots with the fur, and we got the. Yeah. Okay, how are we doing here? Cabin fever risk still high. I think we need to keep moving. Oh, we need to... Some are just hooked on just chatting? Yeah. Just chatting. Oh.
I'm sure I can carry much more.
Dog food. What else is new? No, tonight I watched, or earlier this evening I watched new spy thriller. I was on Amazon Prime called Black Bag, which is an interesting, in some ways, a very traditional kind of espionage film. Not crazy with action pieces, but instead very much intrigue and conspiracy and quadruple crosses, and mostly at a dinner table. So I thought that was kind of interesting how they managed to do that. NASA channel gets several thousand viewers. Hey, you know what? If I had a channel where it was just watching cats, just a cat cam, for the right cats, it would probably do well. I think there's zoo cams that do quite well. If they have the interesting, animals on them. Okay.
Come on, little fire.
Yeah, no worries. We'll probably go on for probably another 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap up as well. I was talking briefly with my roommate when I was away from the stream. And we both assumed that we had extra sponges under the kitchen sink, and so we don't, and so the kitchen sponge is in terrible condition, and it was just falling apart. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to make a grocery run tomorrow. Buy some more sponges. I just swear, like a few weeks back, I thought we had more sponges. But, yep. Okay, take care, Nemesis. Yeah, and maybe I'll shoot you a message when the poems are officially published, and so you'll have the heads up when I'm going to be able to read them. So. And you'll know when to drop in. We might read from one of those emails that I got. They're getting more and more eloquent, trying to convince me that I should bring in help to recruit this whole army of people wanting to write reviews. I swear the army of people writing reviews are just going to be like all ChatGPT generated content. Here's the problem. Here's the thing that makes me suspicious right off the bat is any mention that you have 1,000 or 2,500 people willing to write reviews. You know how many people actually write reviews of books for Amazon? A tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of the people that read. It takes a lot of effort. You really have to have a strong connection to the book to actually, positive or negative, to want to spend time writing on a third-party site or on Amazon. Anything that goes beyond, like, I really like this, or I thought this was garbage, And so, like, yeah, the numbers just don't make any sense. Now, some of these people are really persistent, and I've got, like, a third email from this one guy, and he's really, really convinced he's going to be able to get me. I've responded to none of the emails. Right, I responded to one person emailed, I think it was one of the first ones I got, and I emailed back. And I went back and forth a couple times, but it was like clear that I was just too suspicious to really pursue anything there. Oh, come on, folks. We do not want to get caught in Aurora. You want a Siskel Ebert review? How about Waldorf and what were the two old guys in the Muppet Show? Waldorf and I can't remember. Like they're named after two New York City buildings. Statler and Waldorf, yeah. You want those reviews instead? Like Muppet reviews. If you had an army of 2,000 Muppets willing to write for reviews, I don't know if I'd believe that more. So yeah, so this past week, really, it was the first time in a long time. Like after I got that poetry acceptance, I was like thinking maybe it is time for me to go back and do some more editing and writing. So that's finally kind of clicking for me. And then I also have that short story that I really need to send out for publication. See if I can get that picked up somewhere. And the nice thing about fiction is it pays a lot better than poetry. But it's also harder to get published, I think. Ooh. Yeah, and I'm also trying to think about, like, what do I have in my writing that I could send to Canadian literary journals? Because I really have neglected, like, sending work out to Canadian journals and establishing myself more here as a Canadian writer. So, especially if I want to publish a third book of poetry and have it be a Canadian book as opposed to publishing in the US.
I need to eat soon.
Then I've got to also build myself in Canada more. Would it be a shame if there's like wolves hanging out right here at the entrance and they just all leapt out right at the last possible second, just as I clear the hill here, and then they just jumped out and killed me? That would suck. We still have way too much water, but okay. That's okay. So at the very least, we need more torches. So we are low on fuel, but we do have coal, and we're about to go through this big mine, and there'll be lots of coal in the mine, so we might as well just use the coal that we have out here. Scratch and sniff maple. Cover. Yeah. Okay, what stuff needs to cook? So we got these guys. Okay. Potato. Potato. Tomato, tomato. Okay, let's see what we got here. We are currently at 9. Oh, that was terrible. That was mediocre. Oh, that's bad too. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's not die. Cabin fever going down. So yeah, during the aurora, you're still hanging out here. Any new people? During the aurora, all the predators go crazy and they become really aggressive. And that trick we use to scare them off by pointing a weapon or a stone at them, it doesn't work. They'll charge anyways. So, and you can tell things are bad because their whole fur glows and their eyes glow a different color. They all turn greenish. And yeah, so when you see that, you know, just get away from them. They are scared of the light, though. So if you have a flashlight, which you can get on stalker or lower levels, you can turn on the flashlight, which is powered by the aurora. Like it is active during the aurora. So it charges during that time period. You can turn on the flashlight and aim it at them, and they'll run away from that light. But yeah, the regular torch thing does not work in the aurora. Okay. $41, $40, okay. Put extras here. Yeah, we're too tired to read. It's odd that I suppose special bookmark edition. Bookmark edition? For what? For Babbage's Dream? Bookmark edition. I remember I did a promotion or two when I was at book fairs, where I did sell some copies with a punch card, like an old school punch card, computer punch card, as the bookmark. I mean, I wonder if that's what they're talking about, or... Okay, now you got me curious. Look at that. People are selling. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, it's the same publisher. Well, let's see. Looks like the same. But I don't see a bookmark edition. I'm just looking up here to see what's out there. No, don't see it. Oh, okay, so it was last year. Okay. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Babbage's Dream is still in distribution. You can still get copies. Even in Canada, you can go to your bookstore and ask for a copy, and they'll order it. Because the distribution does reach Canada. But my first book, The Lost Country of Sight, has no Canadian distribution. So, like, I have copies, but I'm the only person in Canada that my publisher will send copies to. They will not ship normally to Canada, so it makes it very pricey for me to you know, if I sell copies of my first book, I am barely breaking even and most likely taking a loss because of how much it costs to get it to me. So that's usually why I sell it as a package with the second book, with Babbage's Dream, is because then, you know, my profit margin's larger on Babbage's Dream. It's cheaper for me to get copies. And so there's more of a margin to work with. But with the first book, my author's rate is only 50%. So I have to pay half price to get the book. And then I still have to pay for shipping internationally. Still got cabin fever risk here. Yeah, it'd be nice if there was a distribution deal that went to Canada, or if they licensed one of the Canadian presses to do printing. But it's tricky too, because the first book is published 2008. So that's, you know, 17 years ago, right? 17-year-old book. It's unlikely that anyone's going to want to handle distribution for an old poetry book. There's a couple presses in the States who have started taking over, like they've gotten permission to handle reprints for older poetry books that have gone out of print. I can't remember if they're called Second Chance or what's the press called. Okay, let's do our last potatoes here. Maybe we'll drink a coffee too, and then we can read a book while we wait. Okay.
Man, this pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay, so I think we'll just... maybe we'll just rest. We got lots of matches, so it doesn't really matter if we'll risk our cabin fever here. Actually, since we got this going right now, we can even afford to fix our bedroll. Okay, let's sleep here. We are on day 17. We have some slight cabin fever risk. I guess we can push through to the other side. We'll just go all the way through. That way we won't be confused as to what we're doing next. Okay.
Hope nobody needs this anymore. Barely walk with this much gear.
So much coal. We're gonna have so much coal. So in other news, I finally got my official BC driver's license after I completed my degree in August. I started filing to switch my residency over since I no longer was on the student loan. So I didn't have to have a connection back to Saskatchewan. So I've been switching everything over. And I got my Canadian driver's license, my British Columbian driver's license. It turns out that the photo, by the time they were done processing it, looks not as bad, and well, how can I put this? It looks, my photo, the driver's license photo, is not worse and not better than my previous driver's license photo for my Saskatchewan one. No, it's not universal. It's a BC one, but yeah, I thought it was particularly bad when they took the photo, and we did another one, and it was slightly better, but they were not lighting's always terrible. And so I saw like the official card came in the mail today. I looked at it. It's like, yeah, it's about par for the course. It's still like not a really attractive photo, but like you're not allowed to smile. They have terrible lighting. Yeah, it's all kind of set up so that it's going to be a bad photo. One of my friends, who knows a lot about, what happens in the to ICBC, which is like basically the department that manages all this stuff. She said that it's why women always do extra makeup on the day of their driver license photo. It's just like, guys haven't figured this out yet, but it's the reason why they're always heavily made up on driver license photo day. It's because they know the lighting's terrible, and so like unless you like do a little extra, you'll just look washed out. It's true, yeah. It's like usually I'm going to impress no one with my photo. Is basically what it is. Not like, yeah, and sort of the circumstances where I'm showing driver's license photos, like pretty rare. Like, how often do I go to a club? Not at all these days. I'm not a drinker, so how often am I in a bar? Almost never. I'm only there if I have friends that I meet up with that want to meet up in a pub somewhere, and even then I'm not ordering anything, so no one's carding me. I remember the very funny incident where I was at a grocery store buying sparkling apple cider, non-alcoholic sparkling apple cider, and the clerk at the till carded me for sparkling apple cider. I was like, really? It's like, seriously? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I think there's something to be said about how much I've saved over the years by not being a drinker and not being a smoker. That it's allowed me sort of the luxury of being able to buy more books. It's basically what it translates to: buy more books, and occasionally treat myself, to a nice meal. But there is, I think, in North American culture, maybe Western culture broadly, we have been acculturated or indoctrinated into thinking of drink as a necessary part of the social, environment. That people feel like they need it as social lubrication, and I think it's not. It's just a crutch, right? It can often turn into a crutch for people. I think the danger of it is that it inhibits the very means by which we evaluate whether or not it's helping, right? Because it impairs our judgment, and then we use that judgment to try to assess whether or not it's impairing us. It's like, of course it's not going to work very well. Yeah. But I also am troubled too by the amount of suppression that goes on in terms of like willfully not talking about the health side of drinking. So this has been pretty well established in recent years number of studies have come out, and then subsequently the US government has squashed them and not wanting to share them. And it happened again recently, that have confirmed alcohol is a carcinogenic, that it does increase the odds of getting cancer, and that there is no amount that does not have an impact. Now, obviously, that's very upsetting news if you happen to be in the alcohol business. And there's also sort of the calculation is how much risk is tolerable risk that you're willing to put up with. And for some people, it's like, you know what? Driving a car is also a risk factor, not for cancer, but for other things. Do we give up cars altogether, right? And so people make their calculated risks about like what are they willing to tolerate.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's complicated. The only person I can make decisions for, when it comes to stuff like this is me, right? So I can't. I mean, I'm not sitting in a capacity where I'm making decisions about what other people take into their bodies. I mean, that's on them to make those decisions. Okay. We need, speaking of taking stuff into our bodies, let's feed Astrid. In the long dark, yeah, I mean, just wouldn't be safe to have it. Okay, so we kind of reduced our load a little bit. Okay, let us go and save.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay, we are officially on day 17. Okay. Day 17 it is. We're gonna wrap up here, so let's go read some poetry. Okay, so what are we gonna read? Good question. Pointer. Yeah, I think it's been a while since we read that. Okay, let's do Pointer. This is from Babbage's Dream. I have to look up where it is now. 29. Okay, so this is from Babbage's Dream, which is my second book of poetry, published by Sundress Publications in 2017. Oh, I was going to say, you know what is a rare copy of my book? The very, very, very first printing, which was kind of a small run print of Babbage's Dream, which was just in time for a writing and publishing conference where the book was kind of launched at. That first run had an error. The error was in the acknowledgements page. which kind of, not only mentions where these poems were previously published, but also is kind of your thank you section, your Academy Awards speech where you thank all the important people. That page actually was 2 pages, but in the very first print run, they accidentally forgot to print the second half of the acknowledgments. So it ends up losing the last paragraph in which I thank my parents and my sister. And so as soon as we realized there was this problem, the publisher apologized profusely and then immediately fixed it and had a new, so that when they did the official print run, the big print run, I mean, it's like maybe about 750 copies for the official print run. But yeah, when they did that print run, they had the correct version in there. But there are about 30 copies, maybe 50 copies of the book that have this missing paragraph. And it led to it becoming called, it wasn't my name, but someone else referred to it as the Ungrateful Son edition. Because I neglect to thank my family. So my parents, so the Ungrateful Son edition. Anyways, this is pointer. A special type of variable that holds the address of another variable. Oh, and for those of you who are new, I'm a writer. I'm the author of 2 books of poetry. This is the second book of poetry. And this book revolves around the history of computers. It revolves around the life and challenges of 19th century mathematician Charles Babbage, who was also a computer pioneer, in that he designed, partially built, but never finished what would have been the first computer, 130 years ahead of when the actual first digital computer was created. So he was really far ahead of his time. And another component of the book is really taking these programming terms and rethinking them as poetry. So this is pointer. Not the thing itself, but a hand gesturing to where it lies in memory. Like when we say hopper and mean any room viewed from without, any couple made distant by sulfur light and shadow, the angled turn of bodies that do not come face to face, but lean awkwardly on tables, cross keys at the unopened window, where night bends like a palm under the weight of all that is impossible to touch. A numbered stall out in the parking lot, in the lower levels of the tower by our building, between the lines at the side of the road, and what they imply, this insistence on fire and exhaust, how smoke rises to our lips. Even now, ash speaks to ash, to the names of my father and his father, to what remains in the wind and on the waves for days after an eruption, to the week we hid in our homes after the fall of New York, the trees that break the frosted earth, awash in the color of salt, our hands caught in emotion between lapwing and sorrow, between iron vein and needle, between want and want. So the poem is really about sort of this, it plays off of this programming idea of a pointer in memory that basically is a variable that points to another address where something is stored. And so I'm kind of, throughout the poem, I'm kind of taking these words that are italicized, like Hopper, as in Edward Hopper, the painter, and I play around with these other ones towards the end of the poem, ash, and lapwing, sorrow, iron vein needle, want and want as being at tension, the thing that is the title, the signifier, the label, and what it actually connects to. And then I'm also referencing here, it talks about the week we hid in our homes after the fall of New York. You know, it was actually during my time as a computer programmer in the game, you know, in the games industry, in the 2000s. You know, it was 2001, 9/11, you know, and we had just finished shipping a title. We had just finished a game and shipped it, and we had gone home and we were told to take like a couple days off before we started our next project. That's about all the break time we got. So we went home, and the next morning I got a call from one of my coworkers, and he said, "Have you seen the news yet?" And I said, "No." He says, "Turn on the news." And so I turned on the news and I saw the report about the planes crashing into like the, you know, the Twin Towers, and I saw just all this tragedy and devastation and sadness, and you know, you feel at once like it's all so distant and yet so real. Our office building where we worked was right next to the airport in LA. And so we were told not to go back in until we were given a clear that it was okay, it was safe to return. Because they didn't know if there would be more targets. They didn't, and our building was tall enough to be a target. So, yeah. So the thing and the way it points to something in memory. Yeah. But Hopper's also a container. Yes. Glad you caught that too. So, okay. So thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to find someone to raid and get back to, well, I will get to sleep. That's my goal. Let's see who we got. Who can we go visit? Blades is starting soon. Let's see. Try someone new, maybe? Okay, I think we could try this. This is v-LHda. I think this could be, seems like doing a fishing run. I don't know what level they're doing, but 40 followers. So let's go support this. Yeah, I know Blades must be up early. I see him now every so often, but let's try someone new. So we're gonna try v-LHda, new TLD streamer. Actually, I don't know how new, but yeah, let's go support someone who's just getting started with streaming, and yeah, wish them luck, and we'll catch you all on the other side, and then probably later this week. I think either Wednesday or Saturday. We'll see which one it works out to be.